I walked into doing the Devil's Highway rather arrogantly in that I thought, well, I have now established myself as the writer of the people, except those bastards over there that I don't like, U.S. Border Patrol. Now, I didn't know the Border Patrol. I'd never hung out with Border Patrol guys, nor would I want to, because I'm not going to out anybody, but I will say that they have chased around certain relatives of mine. There are people who came across. And I'm from Tijuana, and I'm liberal, all those things. And I came up in the Chicano literary world, so I was like, bad guys. And at the time when The Devil's Highway was formulating as a book, the various prosecutions were underway. There were trials, there were lawsuits. And one of the points of the trial was that the catastrophe written about in the book was caused, perhaps intentionally, by the U.S. Border Patrol for their own evil purposes or their amusement. All they really needed to do was to get enough doubt that the Border Patrol might do it. So I went in there thinking they were bad guys, and they didn't do anything to disabuse me of that notion at first. They terrorized me. I realized they were teasing, they were messing around with me, checking to see if I had, any grit. But they made my life really hard for a little while. But I understood later that, you can't just walk into a police organization of any sort out of the blue and say, hey, can I write about your biggest secrets, pal? They're like, who are you? And it changed for me I talk about him all the time, but one of my dearest friends, Senior Supervisory Agent Ken Smith, he was the guy who called out the rescue run to save the lost men in my book. And Kenny is the one who took me out on patrol. Kenny showed me how he tracks and how he reads the dirt. He was this remarkable guy. And there was this moment when we were standing on the Devil's Highway, which is the actual dirt road that runs through the southern Arizona along the border. Cormac McCarthy's Blood Meridian ends at the end of the Devil's Highway. That's where the Glanton gang goes down. I mean, it's a scary place with a long history of weird, dark, dirty dealings. And we were standing there looking into Mexico, and there's nothing more vivid, because there is no fence. There's a dry gully, there's nothing, and there's Mexico. And we're standing there, and exactly what you said. He said to me, I know what you think of me. And I said, really, what do I think of you? He said, you think I'm a jackbooted thug. Now we're out, 100 miles from anybody, and he's the guy with the gun. And I thought, uh-oh, how do I ingratiate myself to him? And he said to me, you don't know what I am? I am your jackbooted thug in shining armor. What a moment. I was just devastated in a way, because he started talking to me, like you say, man to man, human to human, heart to heart. I didn't know that was possible. And for some stupid reason, I didn't know that Border Patrol agents would have hearts or souls, or I don't know what I thought. And in that moment, talking to Kenny, and when Kenny, I call it grace, I don't know what else to call it, especially if you're working in nonfiction, when there comes this moment that seems to come from outside of you, when someone, against their better judgment even, trusts you. These men handed me their careers and their fortune, knowing that I was Mexican American, that I wrote books about the Mexican poor, that I was a liberal. They still gave me their trust, knowing I could hurt them. And all of them, almost all of them, said a version of this to me. I don't care what you write, and I don't care if you don't like us. What I care about is that you tell the truth. Because nobody tells the truth about us. These are all, conservative guys that I met who felt that they'd been burned by the media on either side and made fun of and misrepresented. And they just asked me, please tell the truth, because we'll be watching if you do or not.